Hi, I am here with Jen Todd. She is the senior manager of client services at TorchLight Hire, which is one of the leading marketing and communication search and placement firms here in the DC area. And so we're doing something fun for TorchLight, which is profiling their staff, just to give you a little bit of insight as to who the people are behind the phone and the email when you visit the site. So I'm just going to ask Jen some questions, and we're just going to have some fun today. So
Right.
Jen, tell me how you got into recruiting.
Well, that was just a few years ago. So I had recently moved back to California after I finished college, and I had started a career in accounting and finance. And I was looking for a new job, and I went into a staffing firm that specialized in accounting, and they said, well, would you be interested in recruiting for accountants? And I thought, why not? I'll give it a try. So fast forward 20 years, and I'm still in staffing, still in recruiting.
Awesome. How have you seen the field change since you started 20 years ago?
Oh, wow, it has changed so much. It's changed both, I would say, on the client side and on the candidate side. For example, when I interviewed, we did all interviews in person back then. So we didn't have the luxury of doing something like this where you could do a video interview. It was all in person. And then on the client side, we used to white out folks' resumes and fax them to the client for review. So it's changed a lot. Kind of dinosaur when I think about the way that, and we would sometimes post ads in the newspaper looking for folks for clients.
Gosh.
I'm completely dating myself here.
Well, along those lines, I'm sure you have some really great stories over the years. I know when we worked together, we had some interesting things happen. What's your favorite recruiting story?
Oh gosh, I don't know that I have a favorite. I have had the opportunity to meet so many wonderful people, fun people, interesting people. But I will say that just everything about recruiting has been wonderful. There's nothing better than finding someone a job, and just those stories of people who maybe were looking for a while and really struggling, and then they've come to TorchLight and we found them their dream job, and they tell us that we found them their dream job. Those are the stories that stick with me and keep me here
Great.
all these years.
That's great. So I know you used to be on the front lines recruiting candidates and whiting out resumes and faxing them and so forth. And now at TorchLight, I know you're really focused on, kind of the client experience behind the scenes. So tell me a little bit about that, and why is that so important to as to what TorchLight does and what it offers?
Well, I love my job. I do love the recruiting aspect of it that I do. But I really, truly, my passion is in the client services. I enjoy building the relationships with our clients, as well as with our candidates. And we have kind of a full cradle to grave approach with regard to that. So I have the opportunity to work with our candidates in scheduling their interviews, and then as well as if everything works out, their onboarding and getting them started on their projects, and then staying in contact with them throughout the duration of their time at the client. And it's just really fun to stay connected, to hear about the different marketing campaigns that our folks are working on, and just staying in touch with them, even on a personal level. Right now with COVID, finding out how they're handling everything, how their families are doing. And so I love that piece of it. I love the relationship building that I get to do in the client services part of my job.
That's great. So given that you're kind of bridging both, both sides there, what is the best advice you can give, any candidates who are looking for a job right now during COVID?
So what I would say to the candidates right now is be flexible. Right now is a time when we all are being asked to do something that may not feel particularly great. You might be someone like me who doesn't enjoy doing video conferences, and you might be asked to do an interview that way, and it may take you out of your comfort zone. But definitely do it, expand, stretch a little bit, but be flexible. If the client has a really tight time frame that they can meet with you, really do your best to accommodate their schedule, because it shows how engaged you are in finding a new opportunity and how engaged you are in joining their team and being a part of that company.
Great. So you would say flexibility is
Absolutely.
paramount.
Be flexible as much as you possibly can.
Great. And what advice can you give clients, on the client side about hiring and interviewing during COVID?
Well, I would say go for it. There are a lot of amazing candidates out there right now that are looking to make a change. And I know there is some uncertainty right now. And clients may not think this is the right time to bring somebody new on board, but I really would say give it a try. There's some great candidates. We have amazing candidates right now that we're meeting and talking to every day. And so now is definitely a good time to do it. It also will give you a good idea of how flexible these folks can be in a time of uncertainty, and maybe also how independent they will be as workers if they're being required to work from home as opposed to coming into an office every day. So I would say go for it. Bring someone in, bring someone new on board your team.
Awesome. Have you found that most clients are hiring for remote positions permanently, or are they, bringing people on as, temporarily remote with the idea that they will go back into in-person, on site eventually, or has the whole world been upended permanently?
Well, I would say that certainly the majority of clients are doing the remote work right now, obviously. And probably will continue to do so through the end of the year and maybe even into the spring of next year. I would also say that I think that a lot of clients are possibly becoming more open-minded to the idea of a fully remote workforce. They're seeing that folks are more productive working remotely, and that they appreciate the flexibility of working remotely. So I would not be at all surprised if we do see a change and a push to more of a remote workforce going forward.
Fantastic. And so how are you managing, right now, being at home with, your family and the dogs, and trying to, manage a full-time schedule? Do you have any tips or advice that you can give all of us?
Thank you for asking. I would say probably the biggest advice I would say is make sure everybody has space. Everyone has their own dedicated workspace that you can call your own, and and especially for the kids who are working from doing school remotely. And for me, I have my own office. It's kind of my space. I decorated it myself, and there are rules to, when to come in and when not to come in. So I think that, and I respect that with my kids during school. I don't go in and try to clean their bedrooms when they're in the middle of class.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Well, yeah, your office, from what I can tell, looks great. I love your shelf design there.
Thank you.
Well, I always like to ask this question just for fun, because it's nobody ever, I don't think there's ever been anyone I met who planned to be a recruiter when they grew up. So I always like to ask, if you weren't a recruiter, what would you be doing?
Oh, if I wasn't a recruiter, well, I still had this. I was recruited actually out of college to go to work for the FBI because
Oh,
I had a background in accounting and finance, and so I still kind of that's so. I wonder if I would have enjoyed that. So there's a side of me that you know wouldn't have minded being an FBI agent.
secret agent woman.
Agent Jen,
That's
yeah.
really fun. Well, thank you, Jen, for taking the time and getting out of your comfort zone and getting on video today. I know we're all, just getting used to this as we go along, and I appreciate your time. And we'll look forward to being in touch.
Yes,
All
thank you.
right. Thanks, Jen.